interest either, I don't think.
Yeah, you said he was more of a card player.
Yeah, yeah, card player, right.
And Grandpa probably should have taken the helm. Because Grandpa had a good head on his shoulders for business.
Yeah.
In fact, I had heard stories that did Grandpa save Suffield Academy?
He probably did. Yes, he did. He did. They were going to close the school. He was on the board, and they had a April or May meeting, and the economy was tanking, and anyway, then the school wasn't doing well, and they didn't have many enrollments for next year, and a lot of the students were not able to come back financially, and in the May meeting, I think it was, they were bored. The board members said, "Well, I think we ought to close the school." And Dad said, "No, let's keep it open through the summer. There's nothing going on in the summer anyway, and let's see if things look a little better in the fall." And they did. They got a new headmaster, App Severance, and the school slowly turned around. He really did save Suffield Academy.
At that point, was it an all-boys school?
Oh yeah. All boys up until a few years ago. Well, was it? No, it wasn't.
It was a girls' school, too, because Grandma, didn't she go there?
Yes, that's what I was thinking of, but good Lord, I think when I was there, it was all boys.
Yeah.
And girls when you were there.
It was, but not too long before that. I think in the 70s.
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
the 80s it started.
Well, they must have gone through a couple of phases in the school's history.
Yeah.
You know, one where girls were accepted, and then they weren't accepted, and then finally they were accepted again.
And wasn't it a military school at one point, too?
I don't think so. Not that I know of. No,
okay.
I don't think it was.
But back to the tobacco. I know that the tobacco industry had a tough time with storms.
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah. In the old days, they used to harvest tobacco the old-fashioned way. They'd cut the big tobacco leaves off, and they'd hang them in sheds.
Yeah.
And then they were used for the cigar wrappers. And they wanted them to have no blemishes, like a hole in the tobacco from a hailstone hitting it. So that went on for a number of years. And then a guy in Connecticut came up with the idea of making tobacco paper. It's tobacco. I don't know if there were any other ingredients added or not, and used paper making techniques and made tobacco paper, and that was used for the wrappers and I think it's still used by most of them.
Instead of just a leaf.
Instead of just the leaf, yeah. Though they were made out of leaves, so it's kind of tobacco leaf paper, but you didn't have to worry about the hailstones or anything in it, the holes,
right,
and stuff like that.
It was either that, or they had to figure out how to sell Swiss cheese tobacco.
Yeah.
With holes in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing we were talking about yesterday was your World War II days, and the captain that was not such a great captain because he did a few things that didn't keep him long. And what were those things that?
Well, let's see. Going back a little bit on that, I was in the Navy ROTC in college, and then when I graduated, I was accelerated. Everybody was in those days because it was during World War II. So I got through in 2.5 years instead of 4, and went right into the Navy in February of 1944. And that was just a few months before the Normandy invasion, and I got assigned to the battleship Arkansas, and this ship up till then had just been convoying ships across the Atlantic just to protect them from German ships and subs and stuff like that. Now where was I? Let's see.
That's all right. That's good information.
Yeah.
I didn't know how long you'd been in the Navy, at least commissioned, before Normandy started.
Oh, no.
So was Normandy your first engagement?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yes. Because I just got out of college and finished with the Navy training in February of '44. And then Normandy was that June, just a few months later.
Yeah.
So we started rehearsing the Normandy invasion right after, we convoyed, we helped with a group of ships going across the Atlantic, and then we just stayed there instead of going back for more troop ships. We stayed there and started rehearsing the Normandy invasion.
When you were rehearsing, did you know what you were rehearsing for?
Oh, yeah. Well, we sure did. Yeah, we were told shortly after we got to, we went on that trip, we went to Ireland, not England, but Ireland. And the ship had gone to Ireland a number of times, so, crew knew a lot of people in Ireland, and they liked it. It was a happy arrangement because it just back and forth across the Atlantic. But then the whole thing changed with the invasion coming up, and we rehearsed what to do if this happens, what to do if that happens, and it was and protecting the troop ships and everything was a big thing.
And we thought the war was a big secret, but I think I remember you saying that the Irish people.
Oh, yes,
they had a clue you guys were going to.
That's right. The first trip that I took after I joined the Navy was to Ireland, and I know I went ashore with the chief engineer and about 4 or 5 other officers on the ship, and the chief engineer, who was Irish American, he knew a lot of people in Ireland, and so they asked him, or he asked the bartender, and what's new? And he said, haven't you heard? There's going to be an invasion. And I'm sure your ship is going to be in it. And then the chief engineer asked him, well, where is this going to be? He says, on the northern side of France.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it was. It really was. Yeah, he seemed to know all about it. He almost had the date exactly right. He was only off by a day or two.
And the date had been changed anyways because of inclement weather.
That's right. Yeah, the date ended up as June 6th, but I'm not sure whether it was the 7th. I think it was before, and then they moved it down. It might have been the 7th or the 5th because they changed it just by a day because of the weather.
Yeah, I think it was the 5th, and they moved it forward.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right.
Bad weather.
Yeah.
But I remember you not only got to leave to Ireland, but it was in Italy that you had the orders wrong with your wine.
Oh, that was in Italy.
That was in Italy.
When the hell were you in Italy? Well, we were in Italy a couple of times. Yeah. And I went over with 4 other guys ashore, and at one point we ended up at this Italian restaurant and bar, and wine was on the menu, 50 cents. So we each ordered a wine, and instead of a glass of wine, for 50 cents you got a pitcher of wine. It was good wine. I mean, it tasted good to me anyway. It was best deal in wine I've ever had.
The waitress was a little shocked you guys each ordered a wine.
Well, yes, she was. She said 5 pitch. Yep, 5. Okay. One would have done us.
Yeah, no, yeah. A pitcher of wine for 5 people is probably a good deal.
Yeah,
5 pitchers for 5 people is kind of pouring you back on the ship.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's a good thing you guys even knew where your ship was after that.
Oh, God.
I think one of my other favorite stories has got to be the crab, the shells that you collected.
Oh, yes.
You remember that?
Oh, I do. That was in the Pacific. And I think we were maybe at Bikini Atoll, or I'm not sure. No, it wasn't there. I don't know. It was right near one of the training bases where you rehearse the invasion stuff, and it was a ways behind the front lines, and went ashore, and I took time to walk up and down the beach for quite a while, probably a couple of miles, and I was intrigued by the beautiful shells, and so I loaded my pockets with these shells, and brought them back and stuck them in my top bureau drawer, metal bureau bureaus that we had on the ship. And Jesus, next morning, a bunch of guys, there were 32 of us, junior officers, sharing this bunk room, stateroom, whatever it is. Anyway, I said, what the hell was all that noise last night? And another one says, well, it came from over here. And another guy says, yeah, it's right in here, and all pointing to my bureau. All these bureaus were metal, and they were all stacked up, and so.
And they knew where the sound was coming from.
They knew pretty much so we pulled the top drawers of a few of these bureaus open, and when they opened mine, all these crabs started trying to get out. I had no idea that these beautiful shells that I'd picked had live crabs inside.
I'm sure you got a ovation for that.
Oh yeah.
Good thing you didn't get a nickname out of it, I guess.
Oh, no, I don't think I did.
Here comes crabs.
Yeah. Crabby errands.
Which would be a good way to get the ladies.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So, you talked about 2 things yesterday. One was one of the storms you had to ride out.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
And can you talk about that?
Yeah, that was something.
Is that the Pacific or the Atlantic?
That was the Pacific, and I think it was after the invasion of Iwo Jima and Okinawa, and we were in both those invasions. It was afterwards, and this huge, they call them typhoons, I think, out there in the Pacific, and it's what we call hurricanes here.
Yeah.
And what the ships do, where the hell were we? We were at Okinawa, and I think it was right after the troops landed, but they still needed naval support. And anyway, you don't want to have a storm hit you in shallow water because it'll toss you right up on the beach. And so all the Navy ships were ordered to head into the East China Sea to ride the storm out, and that's what we did. And
you were probably one of the smaller ships.
Well, we were an old ship, but we're pretty yeah. Some of the newer ships were quite a bit bigger, but they had to be battleships or carriers, and we were bigger than probably most of the others, even the new ones. But several of us who were not on duty at the particular time climbed up the forward conning tower to ride out the storm. Well, that was an exciting decision to make, but it was a pretty dumb one because we came close to being swept right out off this platform where we were in the conning tower.
It's open to the outside?
No, it had a metal thing that was about up to your waist, and then it was open above that.
Okay, so that's pretty open.
Some of the storms you had to duck down and get protected. Huge waves would come. Well, not the waves, but the spray and everything. But it was very heavy spray, and it just washed over, and then you pop your head up again and wait for the next one.
That's amazing. And you were saying that the bow of the ship would actually dive right into the water.
Yeah, well, we had one of the best skippers we ever had, who was captain of the ship at that time, and it was very fortunate we had him because he knew how to ride these huge waves. They were 50 feet high, some of them, and the storm lasted quite a while, and he would just kind of angle over about 45 degrees or 30 degrees, I guess, going up the wave, and then at the top he would change the course so he could do pretty much the same thing going down the backside, and we made out all right, but a lot of ships sunk in that
did
storm.
They?
Yes, they did. Yeah, we lost probably 10 destroyers, for example. Yeah, it was tough storm.
Yeah,
tough storm.
But you were saying the turret and the guns and everything, they all kind of go right underwater.
Oh yeah. These waves would come in, and we had two main battery turrets in the bow of the ship, and then two in the midship, and then two in the stern. And I was up near the bow ones, and we'd see these waves just rolling over these gun turrets for the main battery, and they were big. They were big turrets. Yeah, that was an experience.
That is amazing. And then you at one point got a replacement captain.
Oh God, yes, we did. Yeah, our skipper, one of the skippers, and he was a good skipper. Had orders transferring him either to Washington or someplace in the States. I think the war was over at that point. And anyway, we got this dingbat who came on board ship. I don't think he'd never served on a ship. And God, he didn't seem to know much about a ship. And anyway, but he came on like a Wednesday or Thursday, as I recall, and Saturday morning, loudspeaker comes on at 10:00, that's 10 a.m., there will be captain's inspection. Everybody's looking at each other. What the hell's going on? We never had captain's inspection.
Right.
We were pretty much in combat waters most of the time, and then so we're scratching our heads, wondering what in the world are we doing? And then about 30 seconds later, the loudspeaker came back on, and this is Bolts. He was the executive officer, and Commander Bolts. And forget that last message, God damn it. There will be no captain's inspection, God damn it.
Because you guys were still at war at that point.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
you're avoiding kamikaze planes.
Yeah, right. He's calling for captain's inspection.
And captain's inspections, you have to all get in your whites, or?
Well, I didn't even know where the hell my whites were.
All you had were crabs.
Yeah. But anyway, he saved us from the crazy experience. And this captain's inspection is a serious thing for the Annapolis type graduates or officers at that particular time. I don't know if it's still used as much as it was, but it was a fairly common thing, except during wartime, and we were right smack in the middle of World War II.
Yeah.
So anyway, our executive officer saved us from crazy experience.
That's nuts, yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts. Totally, yeah.
So how old were you in the war?
Oh my goodness, I was 20 years old when I went on active duty. I was in the Navy for a few years before that when I went to college, and because World War II just broke out shortly after that. No, it was broken out a little before, I think. But anyway, it was about the beginning of the war, and so then we were all put in uniform and got pay, not much pay, but we did get paid, and our school expenses were paid.
That's nice.
Tuition and board and everything else. And then now let's see. Now I'm forgetting what I was going to say after that.
No, you were in school and.